Good afternoon and welcome to our book's presentation. This presentation has been recorded for the course Developing Management Skills MGN 6133. Leading Teams Setting the Stage for Great Performances by Richard Hadman. I would like to start by introducing my team members Nadia Pankova, Abhinav Shrivastava, and myself Daniela Lopez. The agenda for today's presentation is divided into three sections. The first is the informational part, the second the theoretical part, and the third is the practical part of the presentation. We will start with an introduction of the book, a biography of the author, a connection of the presentation content with the course material. We're going to explain the method, the 5 conditions. We're going to give you some tips to remember, a conclusion, and last but not least, we're going to have a role play. The book. The book's objective is to increase leader leverage to help teams perform better and in the process become stronger over time as a performing unit and contribute to the personal learning and the well-being of individual members. This book was written for 4 different audiences. First, the practitioners who want to help their teams. The scholars who are conducting research about similar subjects or about the subject. The consultants who are always looking for unconventional views to innovate. The general readers who read this type of book out of curiosity. This is one of the major reasons why the author chose to write the book using very simple language so that all audiences could understand the material. The book was published in July 2002 by Harvard Business School Press. The book, as well as the author, have received numerous awards, and some of them are Academy of Management Theory Award in 2004 for the Most Outstanding Management Book of the Year, the prestigious Nielsen Excellence in Mentoring Award by Harvard Graduate Council, Lifetime Achievement Award in Organizational Behavior for the Academy of Management, and the Award for Lifetime Achievement in the Study of Groups. The author chose to base the book on real cases, which he had the chance to study through his career, thus giving a more realistic approach and feeling. Some of these groups or examples are 2 airline crews, an orchestra, a production line team, and a financial analysis team. This book has been warmly received by scholars and by the public in general. Some of the comments made about the book are authoritative, practical, realistic. This book offers a new provocative way of thinking about the leading work teams in any organizational setting. Full of rich stories and organized into compelling cases, the book clearly communicates an elegant analysis of effective team leadership, a gem for practitioners. Now, who was Richard Hadman? Richard Hadman was born the 14th of June of 1940 and died the 8th of January of this year. About his background, he had a BA in mathematics and a PhD in psychology. He dedicated his whole life to doing research and learning about the behaviors of teams. He was one of the world's leading experts on group and organizational behavior. He was a professor of social organization psychology at the Harvard University. But what did he believe in? Richard believed that many of the most important features of human behavior are to be observed when individuals gather together in groups. Why is it that people are sometimes scared or reluctant to work in teams? Well, research has shown that some of the reasons are that teamwork can take longer. Teamwork might even never get done. Sometimes it can be hard to even become a team. These are only a few reasons of the long list. On the other hand, it is well known that by forming teams there is more talent to put into a project, more experience, more diverse resources, greater operation flexibility, and co-learning. I don't know if you perceive it, but the trend in the work environment is a shift from individual work to teamwork. The truth is that a well-managed team can generate da-da-da-da magic. That's right, pure magic. Now, the whole semester, through the discussions, coaching calls, as well as the lectures, we have studied individual subjects like critical role of management skills, motivation, solving problems, managing conflict, building effective teams, between others. All these subjects are taught in this book. This is the reason why Leading Teams was the last book to be presented. Leading Teams does a complete analysis of the subject. It does not only mention the positive part, but also pays a great deal of attention to the limitations and obstacles encountered while working in teams. The author presents an innovative approach, and it shows a very diverse perspective from the traditional literature. He focused his attention in the team itself. As we mentioned before, to the entire book, we present a comparison of Hackman's approach, which is very liberal, to the traditional approach. For example, the traditional approach is being based on leader management style, meaning one leader and the rest of the team are followers. Hackman says that it's about enabling environments and giving teams the support they need instead of bossing team members around. He also believed that leadership is not only based on traits or skills. Leadership is about giving the team the right direction. The traditional leadership literature talks constantly about business styles, and Hackman talks about tailoring the practices to the needs. The goal is to focus on the team leadership and have a self-managed, well-directed teams. This is how he introduces his method, which is divided in 5 conditions.
Richard Hackman suggested 5 key principles or 5 conditions to create effective teams. And these conditions are the following: real team, compelling direction, enabling structure, supportive organizational context, and expert coaching. All these factors brought together lead to increasing in team effectiveness. So, real team. Even such business lions as Steve Jobs and Henry Ford appreciated the value of teamwork. Steve Jobs told, "My model for business is the Beatles. They were 4 guys who kept each other kind of negative tendencies in check. They balanced each other and the total was greater than the sum of the parts. That's how I see business. Great things in business are never done by one person. They are done by a team of people." Henry Ford. Coming together is beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success. So what are the essential features of real team? Richard Hackman pointed out 4 of them: stability over time, team task, delimited authority, and bounded teams. And now I'm going to tell you briefly about each of them. Team task. Before assigning a task, we actually need to find out if it's really a team task. Some tasks, as novels, reports, etc., are better performed by individuals rather than group. And also you shouldn't mix the definitions of teams and co-acting groups. Co-acting groups are team-alike group. Members perform their tasks alongside. Their tasks are independent from each other. In fact, they are not teams, but sometimes they are perceived like teams. Bounded groups. Unclear bounds of team can decrease efficiency of a team as a whole. The constant stock and flow of people in the team interrupts the work and brings the ambiguity. So, to avoid it, you always should know exactly who is in your team. Also, Richard Hackman suggested in such case to assign core members in constant amount and let team control its membership itself. Delimited authority. Here you can see authority matrix, which presents different kinds of teams in the order of performing functions. So we can see that the less authority is possessed by managerial teams, while the most independent is given to self-governing teams, which functions include executing team tasks, monitoring and managing work process and progress, designing team and its organizational context, and setting overall direction. Stability over time. Stability over time is another important factor for building real teams. This is the fact that teams with stable membership perform better. In such teams, collective competences are built and teams act as constantly performing units. But this shouldn't be understandable as the elder team performs better. Reasonable changes are useful. While the atmosphere becomes relaxing, the process of learning stops and over-familiarity dominates in the interaction. In R&D teams, productivity also decreases with time. Factor of team success. It is well known that effective team management is impossible without an exact direction from someone in authority. So, who can set this compelling direction? It can be the leader of the team, it can be team itself, and it can be faced outside the team. So, what does give compelling direction to the team? First of all, it energizes. Compelling direction is challenging and creating collective aspirations that align and excite others, so motivation enhanced. Compelling direction orients. It clearly orients members towards their purposes, so performance strategy and purposes get aligned. James Campbell told, "If you don't know where are you going, you'll probably end up somewhere else." And compelling direction engages. Fully engaged team members' talent, which is consequential. Knowledge and skills are fully utilized. But what should be directed? Ends, which is the end state of project, or means, by which the team is going to pursue the ends. As we can see from matrix, if none of them are specified, it's anarchy, which is however not the worst. The worst is so-called turn-off, when the means are specified but the ends are unknown. It is even worse than wasting human resource by specifying means and ends. And the perfect is to specify ends while letting the team specify means by itself, therefore provoking creativity. Trade-offs. However, there are some trade-offs in specifying the direction. The first trade-off is clarity and incompleteness. Clarity means specificity, if want to be accomplished, and incompleteness is a surplus meaning, a little fuss around the edges, if we can say it like this. We need to sustain these two definitions in balance. The second is modest, we see challenging aspirations. Team performance obstacles should be neither too small, so it won't be interesting to achieve them, neither too high, so to be unreachable. And also the perfect team leader should balance between the role of leader and the role of team player. So, we are proceeding to enabling structure. Structure itself is neither good, neither bad, but the best work design stimulates internal work motivation. The process how to achieve works in the following way. Definite test characteristics like autonomy, skill variety, cause special psychological state, and this state leads to internal work motivation. So, how to balance risks and benefits of teamwork? Teamwork implies risks as well as benefits. Good team design makes feedback valuable and productivity is really high, while bad team design may foster anti-learning process and social loafing. So, what are the core norms to conduct? There are two desired kinds of norms, fundamental and secondary. Fundamental are universal and secondary can be in any amount and are particular for each team. There are three ways how norms can be formed. The first way, forms can be created as a part of structure. The second way, norms can be imported from outside. And the third way, norms can be established gradually by members. Team composition, three biggest mistakes. Richard Hackman advised to avoid the following mistakes. Thinking that the bigger team is the better. Similar people get along together. And assumption that everyone knows how to work in team. So, what to consider while building a team? While building a team, we have to consider its size, interpersonal skills, and mix of similar and different members. If to look at the graphs given the dependence of productivity from amount of team members, we can see that actual productivity is achieved with 4 to 5 members, which is the proper size. While composing teams, you should consider the proper mix of similar and different members. And not all the people possess interpersonal skills, so we can isolate them from team or put them under control of strong leader. But the best idea is to find a way to harvest their contributions with shaky interpersonal skills. And what about the virtual team? Is this the end of structure or short-run trend? This is the question that we have no answer yet.
Second topic, the supportive context. In this, the author suggested us the three main stages. Look at this. The supportive context. In this, the author said, as discussed in the book, the real team, a compelling direction and enabling structure provide the basic platform for the competent teamwork. As discussed in the book, there are four aspects. The real team, compelling direction, and enabling structure makes a team effective. A well designed teamwork is a seedling. Then the organizational context is the soil in which it is planted, the milieu that provides the nutrients needed for it to grow and bear fruits. Just as infertile soil can stunt the growth of even a healthiest seedling, so, can an unsupportive context limit the performance of even a well designed work team? Yes, the authors confirmed this. And also, the reverse is also true, of course. Even the most fertile soil cannot help the fundamentally crippled plant, nor the wonderfully supported organizational context enlives a team whose design is fundamentally flawed. Look at this, how the book has stated the three things. The author stated in the book that an unsupportive context limits the performance of even a well designed team. So, author and his team have found that the three organizational systems have particularly high leverage in supporting teams: the reward system, the information system, and the educational system. Focusing on the reward system, when a team receives something that members collectively value, it becomes more likely that members will do again whatever it is that they did before. One kind of recognition that almost everyone cares about is money. At least in Western society, people have learned to follow money. At some point of time, people want to see something in terms of cash or at least feel that they have a piece of financial actions into their bonus. Moving further, one kind of recognition that almost everyone cares about is money. At least in the Western society, people have learned well to follow the money. At some point, people want to see something cash or at least feel that they should have a piece of financial action in their rewards. As discussed, getting the awards aligned in the book, the author suggested reward system in such organization actually put people and their teams directly in competition with one another for their portion of financial rewards. After that, such practices divert team members' attention from their work and refocuses on monitoring how to get, what to get, and what rewards are distributed. They all risk undermining relationship among team members and thereby making it hard for the peers to work together on the shared tasks and be large enough to affect their behavior. That is very important. They must be provided contingent on team performance, which means that performance outcomes must be readily discernible and measurable. They must be provided to team as intact unit, not differentially to the individual member, so that they can reinforces member working together on their shared tasks. Team leaders and managers can and should verbally reinforce his team that perform well, of course, as well as provide them with whatever other token of recognition they can invent. But when the money enters the picture, things get tougher. The second aspect author speaks about information system. Information is critical, and the development and execution of good team performance strategy depends wholly on information. Absent information about performance situation, a team is ineffective, flying blind, an aircraft in the cloud without radar or navigator. A basketball team trying to execute a game end strategy without being able to see the shot clock. When someone suggests a new or altered way of team might proceed with work, members generally discuss its feasibility and appropriateness before discussing to implement the idea. That is very important. Also, the four aspect which delivering the information and goods, when member have solid information about task requirements and about the expectations of those of the team serves, and they can do better job formulating a good performance strategy than would be possible if they had guessed about what was wanted. Good planning requires good information. Information systems that support teams well are those that provides member both with trustworthy data about present tasks required and with the forecast that suggest how the requirements may change in future. Do share with all the organizational members information about how enterprise as a whole is doing, but strategically critical information often is quite closely held to keep out of hands that senior managers views as unfriendly, such as competitors, regulators, or investigative reports. There inevitably are distortion between what one person say and what another person hears because of different language or dialects. The information dialects of those who analyze and summarize financial or operational data in organization typically differs from what of one person uses and what one person works. Moving further, information is too much information can be just as much a problem for a team that it is trying to develop and execute a good performance strategy as too little. Particularly in the era of rapid advance in computer processing power and connectivity, information overload is becoming a non trivial problem for many teams and organizations. But still, information really is power. Power commonly is viewed as a resource like money in one's pocket, something that is different people have in different amounts. This may sustain a manager's feeling a personal power. The power equation, no doubt, would still be titled in the manager's favor because he has more access to the information. Since many of us, many others resources aside from information for which teams are dependent on their organization. After that, the third aspect author stated is the educational system. The educational system of an organization should make training and technical assistance available to work teams for any aspect of the work in which members are already sufficiently knowledgeable or skilled. A well-structured team have a good mix of task and interpersonal skills. A pool of talent that members can further expand by sharing their special expertise with one another by learning together from the team's success or failure. Reward system that provides positive consequences for the good team performance, an information system that provides data and projections that members need to plan their performance strategy, and at last, and an educational system provides and training and technical assistance the team may need. Another organizational support not yet mentioned also can be critical for team performance. The material resources that are available for use in carrying out team's work. Material resources such as equipments, money, staff time, physical space seems ordinarily when compared with the power of the organizational rewards, information system and educational system to shape the work team behavior. After this, the author focuses on the second most important aspect is the expert coaching. Coaching is about the group process. The author stated in his book how coaching works and what coaching is. It involves direct interaction with a team that is intended to help members use their collective resource well in accomplishing work. Coaching is about building teamwork, not about doing team's work, as stated by the author in his book. Coaching can address any aspect of team interaction that is impeding team members' ability to work well together or that shows promise or strengthening teams' functioning. Teams that operate in such a way like they are globally connected, they start facing problems. So author started stating that teams that operate in a way that compromises their standing on the three performance processes, that is members apply insufficient efforts, inappropriate strategies, and the third, the inadequate talent to their work, probably will fall short of one or more of the effectiveness criteria. We look into this criteria in much deeper. They develop when members interact in a way that depresses the team's effort, the appropriateness of its strategy, and the utilization of members' talent. They waste or misapply members' time, energy, and expertise. So, author says that there should be a process gain. What process gain? Process gain develops when the members interact the way that enhances collective efforts, generate uniquely appropriate strategies for working together, or actively develop members' knowledge and skills. Moving further, the author has explained the types of coaching and its characteristics. Coaching that addresses efforts is motivational in character. Its functioning are to minimize free riding and to build shared commitment to the group and its work. Coaching that addresses performance strategy is consultative in character. Its functions are to minimize thoughtless reliance on habitual routines and to foster the invention of ways to operate tasks. The third one the author addresses is coaching that addresses knowledge and skill in is educational in character. Its function are to minimize the sub-potential weighing of members' contribution and to foster the development of members' knowledge and skills. The study by the author Temporal Appropriateness Coaching Intervention. In this, there are three phases: beginning, middle point, and the end of cycle. What beginning says? There is much on the team's plate when members first come together to perform a piece of work, establishing the boundaries that distinguishes member from non-member, starting to formulate members' role and behavioral norms and engage them with group tasks. The line is linear there. The coaching intervention that helps a team to have a good launch increases the chance that the track will be one that enhances members' commitment to the teams and motivation all through its work. At the middle point, the line shows the ups and downs and the performance strategy and the consultative strategy comes into picture. If the beginning of the team's life is too time consuming and the boundaries of a team and getting the collective engagement with its task would not also help them to create an excellent time for the members to work out the performance strategy they will use in carrying out the work. Especially the author stated, we, purp- we proposed that the team that took time to explore alternative ways to proceed with the task before actually starting working on it would do better when the team plunges immediately into their work. Team learning requires a minimum or some protective time, at least for the moderate level of collective safety, conditions that are hard to create when members are right in the middle of the task execution. Look at the end of the cycle, where knowledge, skills, and education is key. People do not learn well when they are preoccupied, anxious, and hurried. If team members are thrashing about trying to figure out just what it is they want to suppose to do, or if they are heading rush to get their work done on time, it is doubtful that they make a effective team or build their individual or collective knowledge for the team. So, to conclude, helping a group to work through such impulse and move into the learning mode requires considerable coaching skills. Developing a team of a point that members learn how best to learn from one another and from collective failures as well as from success is a magnificent coaching achievement.
Third part of the presentation, and as we promised, here are the tips. Okay, let me start with a simple question that somebody sometime asked Hadna. How do great leaders create conditions that promote team effectiveness? As, and his answer was very short and clear. He said, you do it in any way you can. You need to analyze the situation and design a strategy that fits. Such a thing as cookie cuts formulas don't work. There is no one leadership style that works well across all situations. All teams' leadership styles cannot fix, and leaders cannot rely on single strategies. The main focus is to create conditions that enhance team performance. The more leadership, the better. What effective leaders do? They should do three things. They should follow the 5 conditions. They should take that into account. They should also attend carefully to timing, moving quickly, and take appropriate decisions when opportunities for action open, but never try to force an intervention when the time for it is not right. And the third thing is that they pull on the same direction.
Among the most popular workplace innovation of the last decades, what they say about AP is equal to PP minus PL. All this comes from causes and staying power. In other words, the model says that actually productivity of a team equals its potential productivity minus process loss. After that, author has also modified the equation and they come up with AP is equal to PP minus PL plus PG. What PG is? On the other hand, by adding the process gain, self-managing teams that functions well can indeed achieve a level of synergy and agility that never can be pre programmed by organizational plans or enforced by external managers. Members of such teams do respond to their clients and to others very quickly and creatively, which can result both in superb team performance and even increasing personal and collective capabilities. Look at this: obstacles to team effectiveness. In this, the cooperative organization debated endlessly about their values, purpose, and collective directions. To maximize the choice of member ownership, team composition often have based solely on personal performance rather than on the analysis of a mixed skill that the worker actually required. In this, the corporations also reluctant to establish and enforce the use of organizational structure and systems that could support teams in their work. There's a term egalitarian participation where such dominated values that members found it difficult to delegate real authority to any of their members. Also, there's ideologically consideration to dominate the decision making about organizational structures and practices.
Richard Hackman invented a change model. According to this model, you always have to be prepared because change comes occasionally. Be always prepared to initiate action swiftly and competently. Also, do not initiate action too soon. Change so leaders wait for the proper moment. In the activity of each team, there can be proactive and reactive strategies. Proactive strategy is creating favorable conditions, while the reactive is inactively managing causal factors. And always, the better strategy is to devote the greater portion of energies to creating favorable conditions, as it is the best way to great performance. Teams create their own realities and control their own destinies to a far greater extent. Thank you for your attention.